Hey gun people. Well, the wind wasn't kind of blowing out here, and as soon as I started filming, start picking up. So hopefully it'll slow down. I'm going to do kind of the first revolution on tactics here, and kind of what we're going to do here. This camera might be a little low because I'm a little close. I don't want to get in that sun over there. Decided to do it ahead. There's a nice little breeze and it's early in the morning. So I'm still getting feedback on the tactics requests from a lot of people, which is good. And I'm going to modify and take the suggestions, etc., and kind of incorporate them in here. But I kind of figured the first one, I'll just do what I kind of think every basic fire team, or if you're working with a group, you should kind of know some sort of movements. Now, I'm not out here trying to make you guys military members and train you, so I'm going to get some specialty and guys who has the training and know that the topics I'm covering are much more in-depth. You know, what I'm going to cover, you could probably teach for 6 weeks, you know, and I'm going to cover it in 15 minutes. So I'm not trying to get too technical. I don't want to argue with people. I don't want people coming here saying, you know, what you're talking about, you're full of shit. Look, if you don't agree with me, just state your opinion, okay? I think this should be covered. I think you misspoke here, or I think you covered this, or there's another option here, because tactics is ever revolving. It's not one absolute. You know, I say that a lot in my horse channel with horses. Understanding and working with horses is a process. It's not an event. I'm sure I didn't stand in something. I thought something crawled on my foot. So it's a process, not an event. Tactics and everything. If you go online and look up tactics, movement, things that I talk about, you'll probably be able to find, you know, a wealth of information on just those short topics that I'm covering. But I'm trying to keep my videos, you know, hopefully 15 minutes. I start talking and they end up being 30, but I'd like to keep them at about 15, of which I should have probably started my timer. Let me see what time it is. It's 9:06. Somebody remember that and tell me when I look at this. So, this first thing is going to be about fire team and kind of guerrilla warfare. Most tactics that I think are going to happen, and what happens in most revolutions, is there's not a large-scale military force that you're worried about chain of command, supplies, distribution. You have a command post, you have a resupply, you have a fallback position, you have reserve forces. I mean, that's just not, you know, military would understand that, and they would know how to work in those conditions. But in a revolutionary type situation, to where you're fighting an enemy on your own turf, and when I say revolution, that could mean a foreign force coming over. You know, a sun flare takes out our grid, we go back to the 16th, or, you know, the no electricity, no nothing, and next thing you know, we're back to the Stone Ages, and we're trying to fight a war, and people are invading us who maybe didn't get hit with the sun flare or EMP or nukes, or if nukes takes out military, a lot of the military, there may only be civilians left to argue and fight. So, and of course I don't have the best stand here, and I'm going to draw little things here, and I got this in the sun, but I don't want to stand in the sun because it's freaking hot, even though it's early in the morning. So let's talk about fire team movements. Remember, guerrilla warfare, well, I think I'm going to get to that in a minute. So let me try to stick on my little notes here. So tactics for a fire team, and a fire team is normally 4 people. Now it doesn't have to be 4. A fire team can be 3. I mean, you can have a pair of guys out there moving around. They wouldn't call it a fire team. I'm going to call it a fire team because I'm just talking about small forces moving and doing guerrilla type tactics. And it can be a 1 person, 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, 5 people. Okay, and now technically a fire team is 4, and you get into a squad, you have 3 fire teams, and that's a squad. That's the way the Air Force does. The Army may do it a little different. The Navy or the Marines do it a little different. It's not consistent throughout the military branches, so each branch is kind of taught. But tactics as a whole, about survival and flanking and, you know, rear security and forward security and all that, is kind of basic the same. So, you know, and look, I'm all for other people making comments. I learn just as much from the comments on my videos as I do watching the videos, or what I'm trying to convey in the videos, because there's a lot of knowledge out there. And that last video on the cat playing with his Chinese food, man, I had such great comments. I was laughing my ass off. That was a great comment section. But these sections, you know, try to keep your comments constructive. Put links, PDFs. If you know there's manuals out there, put links. It probably won't post immediately, but when I open up the video to review comments, I'll have to go and it says held for review, and I'll have to approve all the links, because YouTube just puts that as standard. If you put a link, they don't want to post it in case you're promoting your website, so the person who posts the video has to go ahead and say, yeah, approve that. So what type of attacks are we kind of looking at? If you're fighting an enemy force in a tactical perspective, there's usually the frontal attack, and then on the frontal attack, if you have a line, you have the forces that you're fighting, you kind of want to cause a break in those lines, and then once you cause a break in the lines, you can infiltrate and move your people through those lines. That's more of a frontal. You also have you get some of your forces up front, and then you have another force come to the side. It's called a flanking maneuver. You hit them from the side because they're fighting forward, and if they're not paying attention or they're not involved in tactics, you can sneak around over here, and then when you hit them over here, now they're fighting two sides, and you can close in on them. Then you can do a double flank. You can have people over here and over here. So now I'm fighting in front, and somebody flanks me over here, so some of my forces are going to go here, some of my forces are going to go here, and then they flank me on this side, and some of my forces go here. And if they're really good, they can get behind me and flank me from the rear, and then I'm screwed. So when you're talking about tactics and moving, that's more of a coordinated effort. I don't think guerrilla tactics are going to be that way, but to understand the concept, you want to understand about dividing forces and breaking strongholds and finding escape paths and getting the enemy confused so they can't follow you. They're more worried about what's going on than they are about tracking you down. Because that's what guerrilla warfare is more about. In revolutionary warfare, you're not trying to take ground. In a conventional war, we're trying to take grounds. We're taking buildings, we're moving our line forward, we're slowly encroaching, we're beating forces, and we're taking bridges and supply lines, and we're moving the enemy to the area that we want so we can finally jump on them from all sides or trash them from the air or whatever. So, but that's more conventional warfare. Where you're talking about guerrilla or revolutionary warfare, you're talking about small units. In all military forces, we have guerrilla units. They call them, I think Russians call them Spetsnaz. What's the other thing they use? I think I wrote the term down, but your little guerrilla units are your special forces guys that you go out, and they're kind of like they go out and they just do their little missions. Now their job isn't to attack on a frontal attack and take on large forces. Their job is to harass, gather intel, etc. So we talked about flanking, etc. And then there's also a thing called a fake retreat. If you can sucker your enemy in, and you do the same thing for a ambush. If I have my guys over here, if I'm working on a fire team, and there's 4 or 5 of us, and I know if we can get our guys to follow me down this tunnel to this little narrow area, and I think there's a movie that did that. I forgot the name of the movie, where they sucker. Who's that girl with the paid-for Hooters, nice Hooters? Demi Moore. What was that movie? She was a Navy SEAL or some shit, or trying to get some. I forgot the name of the movie. But anyway, in that movie, they sucker the guys in and they set up an ambush, and that's a common tactic. If I can get you to chase me to an area I can control with limited people, to where your massive force that's chasing me is squashed down to a narrow area, I reduce your ability to use that massive force, and I increase my ability to take you on with my smaller force and get you in an area to where you don't have any defense. Low ground, I got high ground. You're boxed in, and I've got high ground around you, or I've got claymores set up, ambushing, IEDs, gas bombs, whatever I want to use to get you in this area, then I can attack you. So, and some people call it feigning or faking a retreat. It's done a lot. What was the other movie that I put on my list? Mel Gibson, Braveheart. They did that. In Braveheart, they faked a couple of retreats, suckered the enemy, and then ambushed them. Again, common tactic. So in tactics, we have offensive tactics, defensive tactics, and deception or misdirection. And deception and misdirection is kind of where guerrilla warfare falls in. But we could fall into offensive tactics. Offensive tactics is you're going out, attacking, searching, destroying. You're going out trying to take or attack. Defensive tactics is more I'm setting up to defend against your attack. So if I'm setting up a base, I'm building bunkers, foxholes, I'm reinforcing, I'm putting tripwires, I'm putting early warning, I'm putting sensors, aiming stakes out. Aiming stakes is if my area of responsibility is right here, then I have to draw out my little area and say, okay, this is my area, this is where I'm stationed, I know here. So I'm going to start getting points. I'm going to walk out during a day when it's safe, and I'm going to go, that tree is exactly 200 meters, and that that mountain line right there is 300 meters. So now I know where to aim my bullet. Remember when I was talking about aiming and doing bullets, you have to be familiar with weapons. When you shoot a bullet, it goes up and then it goes down because gravity takes over. So if the target's here and my bullet is on the climb, I'm going to aim a little bit lower. If my target here and my bullet is on the drop, I'm going to aim a little higher. So when you've got an area of responsibility that you're locked down in a defensive position, you want to know your area on your thing so you know where to aim and adjust, do Kentucky windage on your sighting to know that you're doing. I mean, if you're doing a scope, you can do your clicks and all that stuff. But anyway, deception. What is that? Sun Tzu. He was a Chinese general guy, and I think he does a book of the art of war. He does quite a few war books. He's a good tactician, and he kind of, to me, he keeps it simple. He's just basically about defeating the enemy, deception, how to sucker men, etc. I mean, if you want to read good books by him, he's good. Let's see here. Some of the things that camouflage, stealth technology, disinformation, diversionary tactics, electronic warfare, force manipulation, use of surprise, of course, hit and run tactics, that's guerrilla, irregular warfare, that's guerrilla, varying types of weapons. When you're on a fire team, I'm at 9:15 now, I was at 9:06. When you're doing a fire team, you want to vary your weapons. I mean, you can have everybody armed with a pistol, but that's not effective. You would rather have your 4 guys, you know, everybody should have a pistol as a backup, because remember, a pistol is a defensive weapon, a rifle is an offensive. If I'm hunting or searching or trying to kill somebody, I want a rifle because I can reach out, more power, more, etc. A pistol is up close where I lose my rifle or I'm trying to get to my rifle, and then I use my pistol. So everybody has a pistol, but you want to have some long-range rifles, you want to have some short-range rifles that can shoot that can shoot fast and take out. I mean, if I had a fire team and I was working guys, I'd want one guy with an AK for close in. He may not be able to reach out and touch somebody, but when his bullets hits close in, he's going to be taking out targets that he hits. AR is going to give me a little bit more distance. I may have a guy with a 50 so I can really reach out, or a guy with a 308 or a larger rifle that can reach out a little bit further and take out something, or take out a vehicle, or take out a larger object. And then of course, if I had an automatic weapon or a grenade launcher, that would be on a fire team. So you want to, and most fire teams have an automatic guy, an automatic weapon. We called them an M60 when I was in. SAW, I don't know what they're calling them now, but it always changes. But somebody usually has an automatic weapon on a fire team. So you want to vary your weapons on your fire team. Can you go out where everybody has a rifle and an AR? Sure. Everybody's got a pistol? Sure. One AR could have a scope. One AR could have open sights. One could have a dot. I mean, again, when you're going out in guerrilla warfare, or these fire teams that I'm talking about maneuvers, remember, you're not going out to look for a fight, so to speak, because you're a minimal force with no reinforcements. You don't have a supply line. You can't get. So when you're doing guerrilla warfare, you pretty much have what you have, unless you're planning a larger operation. Then you may bring more, stash it at a fallback point. So you're going to go in, hit, have them chase you back to your ammo resupply, get your other ammo, change your weapons, etc., fight there, and then have another point to where they're going to chase you. Whatever your mission plan is, however you do that. So, but with guerrilla warfare, I mean, you need to realize what you're going out for. What's the purpose of your mission? And I think I did, let's see, commando units. That's what I was trying to think of earlier for guerrilla war tactics. We have commando units. That's basically a guerrilla fire team, or guerrilla guys going out in small groups doing havoc or doing their missions. So with guerrilla warfare, you want to avoid strength and you want to strike at weakness. So you always want to ensure that I'm not going to go take on an army of 50 guys with 4 guys because we're badasses and we think we can take them. That's not smart tactics. We only want to fight with 4 people and what we can win. That's why they consider guerrilla warfare kind of not gentlemanlike, because you're kind of street fighting. You're fighting to win. You're doing shit that's not conventional that people won't expect. And that's a good thing, because that's how you win, because you surprise your enemy. So, and again, when you're moving in a fire team, I'm gonna get moving here. You don't really have a fixed position. It's not like, okay, we have 4 guys and this is our base, so we just sit here and wait. Now we could do that. We could have a 4-man team, set up a base, set up a defensive position, put different layers of protection of early warning and fallback positions, and range car. I mean, we could do all that shit for our area, but fire teams normally are kind of, I call them seek and destroy or seek and cause havoc. You want to go out there and stir up, either propaganda, drop off lead lists, find out who your friend, gather intel, ambush, hit small units, seize ammo, steal shit, radios, things like that. So you don't attack strongholds and you avoid detection, and you have limited supplies and ammo, and you're not really in the mode of going out and getting in a long drawn out battle. You're a hit and run. You want to hit, devastate, surprise, devastate, do your damage, and then get out of dodge. And hopefully they'll be so confused they won't know, because remember, when you have massive forces, if somebody hits us, if we're at a base and a unit comes in and does a probe or just has a guerrilla, or these guys come in and do a little attack on us, we're not going to grab everybody and just chase them, because we need to figure out who's wounded, who's hurt, get our forces, who's the fire team, who's the guy in charge, what's our plan, how far are we going to go, do we have radio comm, let's gather our guys, okay, let's go find them, if it's worth it, are they tricking us, should we let them go, should we just reinforce where they hit. So all this decision process, like in cop work, takes time, it causes lag time. So this is the time that the guerrilla guys or you are getting away. That's the time you use to make distance, because distance is your friend. Tactics in cop work and combat's kind of all the same. So anytime you're moving in a position, you want to be aware. I'm not a big guy, if we're moving in 4 guys, to have one guy walking backwards for rear security. If you've got a good trained force and you got guys, you can look over your shoulder. Every once in a while, if I'm the guy in the rear, I'm going to do a circle, give a scan, make sure we're not tracking, maybe hide behind a tree and drop down, see if I see movement, see if anybody turn around and then catch up with my guys, let them get a few feet and move up. So rear security, and I guess I didn't go over that for people that don't know. If you have a fire team and you're moving, usually the last guy is what's called rear security. He's responsible for keeping an eye on the rear so you don't get hit in the rear. And then your other guys in the fire team are always, everybody's responsible for watching their flanks. If I'm on this side and my gun's facing this way, I'm looking, this is my flank area and we're moving. If I got a guy over here, his gun's going to be facing the opposite way, and that's his area. So wherever your gun, that's kind of a clue if you're looking at a formation moving, again, using that against the enemy, I can tell what formation or how their security is by how their guns are pointed. If I got guys standing next to each other and both their guns are pointed in the same direction, I'm pretty sure those guys aren't too tactical trained, they're not too smart. Because if I got 2 guys standing next to me, my gun does no good pointing in the same direction as this guy if we're walking this way. I want to have my flank and my gun over here, because if I need to engage, that second of me doing this could get me or my team killed. So just by looking at a team moving, I can tell if all their guns are facing the same direction. Now, if we're all going forward and we're expecting enemy contact and everybody's guns forward, well then I can, if I'm watching this, I can go, these guys are moving and forward. They're either expecting contact, they know something, for some reason they feel a threat in front, they're moving fast, they're not really watching their rear, and they're not really watching their feint. Why are they going if they were this strong? Well, there could be a lot of reasons. So, what kind of missions do a squad or something goes out on? You can go out on a recon or intelligence mission. A recon is basically, I'm going to go out and gather intel. I'm going to do a recon. Okay, maybe I want to hit this building, let's just say it's a revolution in the U.S. and it's the government. So, and they have Homeland Security over here, and we know they have a large weapon supply and food and water. And we know they normally have 50 people during the day, but at night they only have 5 people. Well, then we're going to do a recon mission on that building at night, and we're going to go over there, and we're going to lock down the windows and the doors and see how they pick up information on how they move in and go out, and what time is the busiest and which time is the deadest, and do they have janitor's crews coming in, do they have food delivered, and we're going to pick up and just recon this and gather intelligence and try to define or find weaknesses, so if and when we want to attack or raid this place, when is the best time, when's the best time for success, how should we do it, can we do a diversion, what happens? I mean, crooks, if they're smart, will set off an alarm. If they're going to rob a bank, they'll throw a brick through the window, the alarm goes off, and they will sit back and watch when the cops come and say, okay, the first cop showed up here, the second cop showed up here, they set up a perimeter, it took this long, it was this time, etc. Now if I want to rob a bank and I want to do it, I can set up a diversionary bank on the other side of town from the bank that I'm actually going to hit, throw a rock through, I know the cops are coming here, and then I can rob my bank. If I really want to plan, I can do that diversion and set off 2 alarms. I can go from one bank and hit every bank and throw a rock through the window and set off the alarm in every bank and see how they respond. And we've had that go off when there's electricity shortage and something goes off and we have multiple alarms from multiple banks. Well, we don't know which one's a priority and we don't know, so you know what? We put them on a list and we start driving. Well, if I know that as a bad guy, I know the one farthest away from the PD is probably the last one that's going to get checked, which is going to give me the most time. Well, when you're doing a recon mission, you're looking for things like that. So a recon, you're looking for intelligence. Another mission is an attack or assault or ambush. You're actually going out on a mission to engage either a small target, either to take out a leader, take out a guy in charge, you got a dignitary, you got, anytime you see somebody with a bunch of people around him and he's seriously guarded and people are saluting and shaking his hands, that's a clue. He's probably an important guy. He's probably in the leadership, and he's probably a good guy to either 1, have as a prisoner, or 2, to kill him. Because you're going to demoralize forces. You're going to drop you're going to make other guys kind of like, man, this area insecure, man. We just lost a top dude because he went over there and we had 50 guys around him, and we didn't catch the guy that did him. Perfect. That's how you mentally impact an enemy. So that would be an assault or ambush or attack where you're actually going out to either gather something, etc. Another type of mission might be just a roving or routine. If I'm in an area of operation, an AO, they call it AO, they got other names for them too, but if this is my area of operation, I want roving patrols. And basically I have guys go out there during the night and all they do is kind of roam, and they're looking for disturbed brush, they're looking for changes, they're checking the claymores, they're checking the tripwires, they're seeing anything that they set up to see if somebody's walking through a path, if it's been triggered. They're gathering intel on our area, but every night they're roving. And that keeps the enemy who's watching and trying to figure out how to do it. They're like, damn, they got these damn roving patrols and I never know where they're at and I don't know where they're going. So it's hard to figure out a weakness because they've got roving patrols. So that could be for a small group to do a roving patrol if you're kind of in a defensive area around your base or whatever. And then you could also have specific goal missions. I'm going out for food, water, ammo, a vehicle, prisoners. Shit, that scared the shit out of me. I saw that flash and went, what the fuck? So the wind's picking up. So let's go over, now that fell over, that's my clue to go straight to the damn mission movement. What time is it? 9:26. So I've been going for 20 minutes. Piece of shit. Damn wind. Okay, I have this kind of turn like this so the sun will hit it. But I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on this and hopefully it won't blow it over before I can get over there to get on that. And we're going to talk about formations there. And you're basically just going to see this thing here. Okay, so let's look at this. Pick up my damn pencil. So these are basically fire team maneuvers here. So if I have a 4-man fire team, if I've got my fire team in this is called a line or a file formation. Everybody's behind each other. I would use this type of movement. Let me get out of the shade here. I would move this type of movement in order to get the fastest. If I want to go fast, I got guys in the front. So this guy would be responsible for rear security. This guy may have his gun this way, and this guy would have his gun this way, and my point guy would have his gun this way. So we kind of have all-around security even though we're going in a line. And you use a file, and I think a file for the hand signal is like this. So if I do this, that's a file format. That means everybody line up behind me. And I'll go over the hand signals when I move that thing. So, and this is called a column, to where I have a guy here, a guy here, a guy here, a guy here. So now we're moving in this direction. And so when these guys are moving, this guy's gun is going to be here and here. This guy's gun's going to be here and here. This guy's gun's going to be here and here. And this guy's gun's going to be here and here. So, and now we're moving this way. And a column is good if we're going down a road or a valley or something and I want lateral support. I could get attacked from here and I could get attacked from here. So if I want to do a file, I could do that, and that would kind of be the same thing, but if we're on the road, it makes us more of an attack. If we can split this road, we're going to be a little bit more covered. So that's called a column formation. And then probably the most common formation is what's called a wedge. And a wedge is basically also called a diamond. And basically you have a guy in the front, you have this guy over here, you have this guy over here, and this guy over here for your rear security. And we're moving in this direction. Now with a wedge formation, I can change direction. If we're going this way and all of a sudden we need to go this way, nobody's position really changes. Basically everybody stays the same and we just start moving in this direction. So that would be a wedge formation. This is what we used to call a strong side wedge. I can't see myself on this video, so I want to make sure I'm in there, sorry. So this is basically what's called a strong side wedge, and a strong side wedge is this side is strong. I have more likelihood that I'm going to get enemy attack over here, so I'm putting my strong side here. This side is either more secure, there's a mountain here, there's a hill, there's not much that I can see, it's clear. So this is my safe side, and this is my strong side. If I wanted to move this and make this my strong side, I'd put a guy over here. So now I'm expecting contact from this way. This is my strong side, and this is just my cover side. So on a wedge formation, so we went wedge, column, file, and then line. And a line formation is when I'm expecting contact to the front. I want max power to the front, so all my guns are here, and any enemy up here, I want all my guns pointing in the same direction. We're moving. We're heading straight. This is not a good position to be in to get sniped by the enemy. If I'm going slow and I'm going across open area, I don't want to be in this line formation because I have all my forces here, and these guys can shoot. If they miss this guy, they'll hit this guy. If they shoot this guy and miss, they may hit that guy. So I would rather something like this, so if we get hit from the front, this guy goes down, I have three guys behind him that we can take cover and move. Column, same way, and wedge. So I'm going to set this down because the wind's going to take it down if I don't, and it'll probably still take it down because, boy, you just got to love cheap props. Alright, so let's go over quick hand signals on some of these formations. And if you Google, I'm sure, hand signals, you're going to see a lot of hand signals. So some of the hand signals you're going to get is most military guys, if we're moving, they know this means freeze. If you get your hand up quick like this, your quick movement, that means everybody freeze. Don't freaking move. Don't dive for cover. Don't do anything. Basically, all they'll do is squat down. This is stop. Normally, when a fire team is moving and they stop, everybody takes their position. If I'm in the front and I see the stop, I'm going to go down to some position of cover concealment to where I can't see, and I'm going to set up position. I'm going to rest. I may get a drink of water. I'm covering my area. A guy over here, if we stop, I'm going to move to a corner of a building or something, take cover, and get down here. Same way with this guy, and the guy in the rear is going to do that way. So stop and then freeze. Very quick. For moving columns, if we're moving and I'm giving hand signals, so I'm not yelling what position. So if we're in a line or file formation, everybody's behind me, and all of a sudden I go like this. A wedge, my fist side is heavy side. So if I want a wedge, strong side right, I make a fist, and that means I want three guys facing this side and one guy over here. If my fist is on this side, on my wedge, I want this my strong side. This is a column, and this is a line formation. If I want my guys moving in a line, they'll all come up beside me here. So different hand signals. Cease fire is always this. That means stop firing, because when people are shooting and you're in the middle of an engagement and everybody's just going crazy, nobody hears you if you yell cease fire, cease fire. You can yell it and everybody's supposed to repeat it if they hear it, but a visual signal, if you're standing up here doing this to your line, they should be able to see you, and then other people will start doing it, and it means cease fire. You know, obviously this is spreading out. This, I want the guys closer. I'll get into distance, interval, and all that other stuff in another video, but that's kind of like basic tactics, basic movement for a squad. Hopefully I didn't go too long. We'll end that there, and I'll wait for the questions, comments, and all the experts to tell me how wrong I was. All right, where's my damn horses? Hi, boys! Buddy boy, what are you doing? Like, Dad, what's up? You got some food? All right, we'll end it there.